four boys, and I really liked them. They were good. They were great guys. They didn't really hit me. And then these two standing there singing, and I don't know what they do. They just change you. They're not what they used to be. They're just so much better. Guys. They're just so much better. They're just like a myth for you. It's what they seem like. Every little movement's for you and no one else. It seems so personal, but yeah, it's just for everybody.
We were four guys that I met Paul and said, do you want to join the band? You know? And then George joined.
Hello.
And Ringo joined. We were just made it very, very big.
Let me call Justin.
Oh, if you must.
I figure we should keep him in. I think he adds something to the show.
Sure.
Hold on, wait for it. Wow, look at that haircut. Whoa.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
I want the Circus Chimp special.
Let me get everything all turned up here. How you gentlemen doing?
Good.
Good. I guess.
We'll overcome the fact that you're playing Wings.
That you're what?
With Wings playing there, Band on the Run.
Oh, no. Well, wait, was that? Yeah, I guess I was when he was with Wings. This is that mashup. This is the Beatles Never Broke Up.
Oh, yeah. We've had this conversation.
Yeah. What? Entirely too much, Andrew. Let's try this again. Hey, there we go. That looks pretty. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello, governor. Chim chim chiroo. Yeah. See? Alright, so. Ba-doom boo be-doo. I'm gonna give me a little test action. Sup, people? It's Brian. I'm testing the level of the mics. It seems a little bit hot, so now I'm gonna turn it down a bit. This is how it sounds when it turns down. Alright, Andrew?
Hey, this is Andrew, and please stop with that music.
Alright. Justin?
Hi, this is Justin, talking to you.
Yeah, looks good. Good enough.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get your embed on weird things.
Yeah, you and I can both get in bed with weird things. See what I did there?
I think I do know, and I don't think I'm comfortable with it. Brian.
I made embed sound like we're getting in bed, which would refer to a homosexual relationship between the two of us. Because we all know that beds ain't just
did not already exist.
That's right. I'm talking about a brand new splinter homosexual relationship.
Speaking of which, Brian, what time are you seeing Spider-Man tonight?
Oh, does it come out tonight? That's right.
Yeah.
Andrew's seeing it 3 hours before me, thanks to a
time warp.
shift.
That's right. What's it like to be on the ass end of the time zone?
It's okay on some things and fairly annoying on others.
That's right.
Andrew won't be seeing it tonight. Unlike the hipsters in California, who have people to go see it with.
Porter doesn't want to go see it. Porter will go see it.
You can't get hold of Porter for 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, you're right.
Porter never does late night movies. Unless Howard Stern told him.
Yes.
So I think that CA has accepted our proposal.
Yes.
You saw the invite?
CA?
Yeah. Are we live?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited.
I'll text you, Brian.
Okay. DC.
No, we can just say it. I mean, newest sponsor of iTrix is Chris Angel.
Oh, shit. Oh, doggone it. Golly gee, that's phenomenal, man. That's awesome that the Chris Angel Camps is going to be giving you dollars.
We assume so because they sent us an invite to one of the events they told us about, and we're listed as, one of the places they'll be broadcasting it. And
that's great. Fantastic, dude. Yeah, you guys...
Banachek's in with them, helping promote and doing some stuff. So
that's amazing that, I guess it's so weird to be on the outside of things where it's like you can only guess what the conversations were like between Chris Angel and Banachek and so on. And then because obviously you heard about the dust up between the two of them over was it a New Yorker article? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And then, but obviously they're cool now. So there's that.
Yeah. I
think a lot of times, for them, they spend a lot of time working together in a lot of high pressure situations and everything. And,
say a lot of things.
It's weird.
All I know is I have never had anywhere near that kind of success, and I don't know what it's like to try to handle that or manage that or deal with everybody around me.
I would just assume it's difficult. That's a good point. All right, so you guys ready to? You want to tweet? You want to twiddle this out? What's this? Another live edition.
Brian, do you want to retweet the send your weird questions to questions at Weird Things?
Yes. Hold on.
We've got some good ones, but I think we can have a whole filled episode.
HTTP://weird.
I like how you guys all got the memo on the gray shirts. It's good.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what. I was noticing that.
Mine's even got a magical weird creature on it. See, I went all out.
What does yours have, Justin?
This is my buddy's website's.
You guys want to see what's on mine?
Good.
Oh, jeez. Oh, well, look at that.
I'll put here parentheses. Send your weird questions to weirdthings@gmail.com.
No, questions at weirdthings.com.
Weirdthings.com. Now. Send all your weird questions to questions@weirdthings.com/now. I said /now. That's not accurate. And now I'm gonna put it on the Google Plus. By the way, guess who's BFFs again now? Guess who's besties?
You and Google Plus?
Me and Google Plus. We kissed and made up.
Are you back on the recommended?
Maybe. Yeah, pretty much.
I guess after Scoble's meltdown.
What was that all about?
So Google announced, Google Events, that you could invite people to your event. And so Google thought it'd be hilarious to take Scoble's, calendar he uses for work and to populate it with hundreds and hundreds of events.
Well, I thought that was like a default thing because I received dozens and dozens of events from just random people, like a default, like if anyone invited you, it automatically went on your calendar and it totally torched it.
Yeah, which seemed like maybe not the right way to do it.
Yep. Yeah.
That, we have the Facebook, email thing, which.
Oh, yeah, I actually didn't follow that. Oh, you know what? I just realized my hair looks so dark because... Hold on. Now it looks slightly less dark. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Hello, Andrew. Suppose you've been wondering why I called you here this evening. See, I had to put on my glasses to see your reaction to that. You're awkward.
I didn't recognize you.
All right, you guys ready to get weirder than we already are?
Let me just say one more before we get started. There is one sponsored spot open. The other two are taken. The last one in the episode is open. $30. And let me say this is a podcast that's been sponsored or featured on Stitcher for the last couple weeks. A real fun time.
We've been featured on Stitcher?
Last 2 weeks.
We've been featured on Stitcher?
Yeah.
I love the way he instantly went from duh. Wait, we've been featured on Stitcher?
No, I'm already surprised, but I had to get into duh no matter what.
That's so Andrew Main, dude.
So like $30, really not all that much. This is the summer's hottest podcast.
I'm gonna
We
add
have
I'm gonna add a decoration
thousands of listeners who will hear about you. And nice pants, Bri. Like the way you tucked your T-shirt in. That's good, Bri. Yeah, I'll go get mine.
I'll get mine. Don't think that we can't start a real.
I did have two, but I took one of them apart.
We do all look exactly the same. All right, I'm ready. Feeling it.
All right, ready?
I'm press record.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ghouls and goblins, welcome to Weird Things, the podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Mr. Justin Robert Young.
Yeah, everybody, who's ready to get weird?
Speaking of weird, Mr. Brian Brushwood.
I already took my pants off and I'm wearing a cactus. That's how weird I'm feeling.
Fantastic.
No one's gonna say where he's wearing the cactus.
Bro, that would be...
Because we saw him stand up and we didn't see no cactus.
Can't a man wear a cactus without his boyfriends making fun of him? How come dudes don't call their guy friends boyfriends the way girls call their girlfriends
Some
girlfriends?
do.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Now, listen,
boyfriend.
there's been a lot of guys I've met that have boyfriends here in San Francisco.
Well, boyfriends, let's get weird.
Yeah, square. What are you talking about? Anyhow, Breeder, let's get going. So, we thought today we would throw it open to the listeners, and we put out a request. And if you're listening live right now, and you would know that because you were listening live, you can still send a question to questions@weirdthings.com, and we're going to try to go through and analyze and answer some of these and put our brains together and give you the full force of our intelligence.
Absolutely.
stop
And let me
laughing.
just remind everybody that we do record live on Monday nights. So Monday nights on weirdthings.com. If you want to watch the show, you're only a listener, this is the time to do it.
Usually around 9 p.m. Eastern sometimes.
Yeah.
Give or take. If you follow our tweeters, then you can know when we're going to throw an audible at you, which is not a sponsor of this podcast.
So I'm going to go in order that they came in. The first one was a magic question, I guess, because both Brian and I do magic and Justin works for iTricks. And it says, could you make an effect where you take your facial features off one by one?
Oh, my God.
Remember McBride, I think, did something like that. We'd wipe off his makeup. Jeff McBride's a really great magician who does a thing with this like kabuki-style makeup.
He was the first also to really kind of bring that kiss over the top face makeup element to it, and he did this whole thing with masks, each mask representing a different aspect of the human condition. And there's one part where he goes through all these masks and the guy keeps peeling off, the character keeps peeling off these masks, and there's always another one underneath, and you could tell he's becoming agitated. And at some point, he's visually shaking, trembling as he peels apart these masks. And then at some point he reaches into the eye sockets and pulls out these two red handkerchiefs. It's like it's very visually disturbing as he looks to pull out his eyeballs.
He would do a thing where he would then like take the makeup off and wipe it off. Then he would he'd wipe it too much and his face would be completely blank.
Yeah. And then
So look up, anyone who wants to see some cool, look up Jeff McBride. Very cool stuff.
But let me just say, from my perspective with magic, like anything's possible. You just need to think of the right method, right? Like it's all about framing, expectations, and method. But anything's possible.
That's true, but yes, from a mechanic standpoint, but to me, that's not the hard part. The hard part is thinking up a reason to remove your faces, the pieces of your face. Like that to me is always the real conundrum. Is the storytelling element of there needs to be a reason where this can be a surprise and yet make sense once you see it happen. Because otherwise, if there's no context, if you could sweep someone up in the story, they're way more apt to forgive the mechanics of how a magic trick is done. But if you can't, then when it's just naked mechanics, so many times it becomes easy to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a reason, it's because there's a conflict you're trying to resolve, and then it happening seems like almost like it wasn't predestined.
Yeah.
Say, I'm going to make a car float, and you go make a car float.
It's like, so. But you tell a story about, how bad your grandfather wanted to win a car, and then all of a sudden the car shows up.
Let's just say theoretically you were to do that.
And theoretically the license plates match randomly selected numbers from the audience, and your brain explodes. You're like, this is true magic happening in front of my eyes, and you want to cry.
Okay, but wait a minute. Let me ask you this, though. If to go with a famous performer who may or may not have an effect that Brian just described. With like David Copperfield's flying, that was him saying, I've always wanted to fly, I'm going to fly, and then he flew, right?
But there's an escalation there, too, in the idea that it starts off where he doesn't just float. All of a sudden, you're like, all right, he's flying. Then it goes into, I'm going to have them pass hoops over me, okay?
Right, yeah.
Now I'm going to go into a box, and I'm going to keep elevating how amazing this is, rather than just sort of a normal kind of fly where you just sort of float. But I'm going to pick somebody else up and fly with them.
But even then, he didn't just fly because he could. He flew because it was a childhood dream, and he spends what little dialogue there is before the flying wrapping the spectator's mind around every vision and fantasy they had as a kid of being able to fly. And it's like, and so he sets the precedent of like, go back to when you were a kid and you wanted to fly. Here, I'm doing it now. And I know what you're thinking. It's got to be wires. Let me successfully disprove move after move after move how there's no way it could be wires that are making this miracle happen in front of you. And it's the context that makes that so amazing.
Yeah. And so you can be linear when you have escalation.
That's
So
why
what
that's
would
why
be, so would the escalation of pulling each part of your face off be enough escalation to kind of prove?
If you introduce it with a kind of thing like, as a kid, I didn't like the way I looked, and then I figured I'd pick and choose, and you got rid of this, but you realized, then who was I? And then you one by one reassembled your identity.
Or I would do it, imagine like this. Imagine like you're an undercover agent, and you've got an assignment. You can't go looking like
Brushwood
this.
identity.
Exactly. So it's like you rub your face, and you start with one eyebrow, and you slowly, like bit by bit, your face completely changes from one face to another. That'd be rad.
I got a method. So let's go on to
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
next one.
That was, all right, here, real quick, before we move on. So much of any magic talk I've ever had with Andrew has always started with ideas of like, craziest idea you've ever heard. He'll just be like, okay, picture this. And then explain this insane thing. And then it's like, and by the way, I have a method for it. But anyway, we can move on. Because Andrew always has a method because he's the most brilliant magical thinker that I've ever talked to.
Next question.
So we got a little bit of a competition between two people, first names only, Andrew and Simone. Andrew got his question in first.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight, a unicorn or a Pegasus?
Oh, it's got to be. Oh, dude, this is tough.
Now just, all right, here, because I'm an idiot. Pegasus, horse with wings, unicorn,
Yes.
horse with a horn.
Right, correct.
Yes.
I to be honest, I'm going to say I know this just because history.
Because I saw it happen.
No, because history's told us air superiority wins wars. We've seen it time and time again in the last 100 years. Air superiority is what wins. So I'm going to have to go Pegasus. Even though it's not the sexier of the two beasts, obviously for a dude, rather be into a unicorn than into a Pegasus. But a Pegasus could be dropping rocks from up top.
Well, let's
His horsey paws?
yeah, let's back up on the hot rock. I was thinking about that rock thing too, Brian, but I'm thinking like let's only give them behavior we've seen horses do.
Okay, he could drop other bombs
Now
from the sky.
we did see a donkey in the Postman hold a sword.
Okay, all right.
And we've seen horses drive cars.
Yeah. Well, and talk talk to?
No, I mean like I'm talking real life.
Wait,
Yeah.
you've seen him drive cars in real life?
Some farmer took a pickup truck and made like a big steering wheel that the horse could chomp its teeth around and go back and forth.
No, I don't.
I saw it on Real People. It was cool.
Real People, yes. You
Man,
sure it
I'll
wasn't
tell you
PM
what.
Magazine?
Skip.
The world was crazy before cable. Like I think like cable really took a lot of time out of people's days, and they weren't like, hey, you know what I should do? Make my horse drive a truck.
Oh my God! Like, think about those days when all you lived for was figuring out something idiotic enough to show up on That's Incredible. Like, incredible audacity! That donkey's driving a truck.
So we've got our Pegasus flying, and are we going to allow the Pegasus to drop rocks or not?
Well, he can hold something in his teeth and drop. I mean, if we're bestowing upon both of them the intelligence to do battle, then I'm going to say yes.
It takes intelligence to do battle.
Sure.
How
Tactics.
paternalistic male of you to say that, Brian.
Strategy.
Yeah.
You
Way
gotta
to
have-
enforce our heteronormative structure, pig. Well, let me ask you this. All right,
War
but like,
pig.
are there mythological weaknesses to the beasts of the unicorn and the Pegasus?
Okay, so here's what I know about unicorns, and I think, unfortunately, I'm undoing my own position here. But unicorns, I think they can hypnotize people. They have some kind of mind control. They could go invisible. I know that.
That's Chris Angel.
That's Chris Angel's a unicorn. You didn't hear this?
Wait, what?
He has very luxurious hair.
Yeah. But like a Pegasus, though, it's like, usually he's being ridden by Perseus, which
Yeah, guy in a loincloth.
I know.
So that's the thing. So, like, if we didn't allow weapons like rocks and stuff. So I mean, I would kind of put my money like on the unicorn, because as soon as the Pegasus got close, the unicorn would be like, ugh, just rip open its belly like a tauntaun, you know?
But like the Pegasus could come in from above and just be like, it's waving its little magic wand all around. But meanwhile, the Pegasus goes clop, 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 4 clops to the head, and then flies away again. And then comes
but yeah,
back down, clop, 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 clop on
No,
the head.
but Andrew's right. It only takes one swipe of that pretty pink belly on the Pegasus, and he's done like dinner.
Yeah.
Like,
But unicorns, are there any stories of unicorns successfully eviscerating an opponent?
Yeah. And in one of my mythologies, they were built as war horses.
In one of my
no, this is actually true.
mythologies.
Andrew, there's a book with a full backstory about the battle history of unicorns as the most fearsome animals on the planet.
I like the differentiation of between saying in one of my mythologies versus in a story I wrote, Pegasus, a unicorn like kicked a lot of ass.
Well, I mean, I think that no matter what, there's a big horn on this thing, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
I mean, look,
Not
all right, here.
for, like,
Let's look at
virgins
like
to
a
throw
narwhal.
little
Is a
maypole ring
narwhal
around,
badass?
Brian.
Dude, all I'm saying is I got to come down firmly on the air superiority of Pegasus. Air superiority, it's called the Blitzkrieg, bro. And there's a reason that Pegasus
But that's because
is...
they can drop missiles and shoot guns. Like there's no projectile on a Pegasus.
Yeah, isn't
Unless you
there?
talk about excrement.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You got the magic dew bombs.
That's not. But like what? So it's just gonna be like the unicorn just
listen.
gonna like be like, oh really? Come on.
In my mythologies,
Seriously.
there's a lot of magical powers to the to the Pegasus dew bombs.
I'm gonna say the problem with the air superiority argument is, yes, historically that's true, but also the one of the air superiority was also the most industrialized nation.
Okay, I've just gotten yelled at from through the walls here in my Oakland apartment by somebody who screamed, "There's a reason why humans are at the top of the food chain and not butterflies." So air power does not mean everything, according to Brett the Amtrekker Roundsville.
So Justin for the unicorn.
All I'm saying is there's a reason I'm wearing a T-shirt of the tastiest pieces of meat on a unicorn right now.
All I have to say is I think we have the most awesome Kickstarter campaign. We'll start with the software engine.
Okay.
And we'll work our way up to actually genetically breeding these things.
I'll tell you what, if Neil Stevenson can raise all that money for like, I want to see swords hit each other in a game better.
That's what I was thinking about. If
we
he's
could raise
got,
money for this.
I'm like, it was funny, like, so Neil Stephenson's doing his Kickstarter fund to raise money to create a software engine to do realistic sword fighting. It starts off where he's sitting there, and the kind of thing you're thinking is like, who the hell would want this? And then it pulls back, and you see he's got his own, like, in like movies where the bad guy has a ninja army.
Yes.
He's got an
Yeah.
army of guys clanging swords. And you're like, oh, okay.
By the way, did you see the? You guys probably did not recognize the special appearance, a cameo by one of video games' most legendary figures in that video. There's this
Pac-Man.
one moment when he's going through talking about, we need IT, and he goes through all these different things. The last one is a guy who's forging some metal, and he's banging on an anvil. It's hard to recognize him because he has a beard, but he's forging a crowbar. And it's freaking Gabe Newell of Valve Studios
Oh, cool.
appearing in there. Yeah, which I thought was very, very clever.
Yeah, totally did not pick that up.
Yeah, I didn't either. I had to have it spelled out for me.
All right, next question from Simone. Who would win in a fight, a unicorn or a centaur?
All right, now centaur, human with horse bottom,
Yes.
right?
It's
Alright.
got to be. Okay, so here's the.
I always get centaur and minotaur mixed up. I'm glad I got it right this
All
time.
right, no, you got it right. Okay, so here are the things. First of all, you can't bring in intelligence because they're both equally intelligent, right?
Why?
Because in almost every time I've seen unicorns are as intelligent as humans in all the mythologies I've read.
All of Brian's wandering behind his house.
Yes, because they're magical creatures and they're intelligent, right? It's the opposable thumb. I got to give it to centaurs. It depends on how much time they have to prepare. Like if you just scoop them both up and throw them in an arena, sure, it'll be a unicorn.
Yeah, I think if I were centaur, because you got the legs and you got the hands, and you know that horn's coming right at you, right? And so your goal is to like get use that sort of Japanese style block the blade kind of grasp, push it away, and once you get hold of that horn, I'm thinking like you
It's
can maybe
over.
wrestle that thing to the ground, rip
No,
it off, just rip it off
wait.
and stab it in its neck.
You're talking about with your bare hands? With your bare hands? You're a centaur with human hands holding on to an alicorn? Are you
It's
kidding me?
not centaur. I mean, he doesn't have human hands. He has centaur hands.
Okay,
He's got a lot of leverage here.
You got it. You guys are
Those guys are
high.
usually buff. They don't look like us.
It doesn't matter. You got
They're not
wimpy
like
human
us
flesh.
walking up to a computer like, all right, this saves
I
me
know,
having
what-
to sit on a chair.
Wait a minute.
When's
Are
the
you
last time you saw a
seriously
centaur
saying?
looking like Larry the Cable Guy?
Okay, you realize this is exactly the same as saying like, well, I could take out a ninja. I just clap my hands on his sword, and then like after that, I would just ride him like a donkey.
I'm saying centaurs are not peaceful. They're always fighting, and I'm thinking that maybe they prepare for this.
Okay, look, if you're going to go with the centaur, at least justify it smartly and say because he has a sword and a shield and tactics and opposable thumbs. Those are the reasons to go with the
have a
centaur.
sword and a shield. Like he's got hands enough that he can build stuff, so he can build whatever you want. So your point is intact, Brian. I'm saying that the biggest thing is that he can throw stuff. There's projectiles that are a part of this battle in the way that nothing else.
Wait. Okay, but if they just if space aliens drop him in an arena, where's the stuff he's gonna throw?
What if he's a
Rocks.
Spanish centaur who watched bullfights, Brian?
I don't know what that
I feel
even
like, you know,
means.
how to
Human
dodge
beat
the
a
bull,
horn.
a centaur
We
can
teach
beat a
kids how to
unicorn.
do that in Texas. You know that.
Okay, so I'm confused here. You guys are saying that the centaur would win, but you're saying it for totally high reasons, like they have magic hands that can hold on to sharp-bladed alicorns without
but
having them
Andrew
rip
said
to
that,
shreds.
not me. So get off my face.
Okay, all right. So are you backtracking on that? Are you off Team Andrew for the?
What do you mean? I never signed on to the hand pulling thing. I think that would be one possible solution.
One possible solution. It's the craziest idea in the world. This alicorn is a weapon. You can't hold a weapon with your hands. Just slice it to ribbons with the
do you
swing.
think do you think the unicorn
it's got
horn
a
is
sharp bladed
sharp?
edge, Brian?
Yes.
It's an
like
ice
a
cream cone with a
corkscrew.
point.
No, it's like a corkscrew, and you hold it, and plus it's magic. With the
Okay,
magic,
do
it
me a
will.
favor. Go down and pull out the wine opener that
No.
I'm sure that you've used plenty of times tonight because you're talking like an idiot, and grab around the center of it and see if your hand gets sliced off.
No, Justin,
Whoa.
Brian's right, because, you see unicorns in the forest all the time sawing logs with the thing, cutting things up.
I can't believe you're saying that. Okay. How can we agree and yet you be so stupid in your arguments? How is this happening?
I don't know. I'm too busy looking at a unicorn making sushi hand rolls with his super sharp alicorn. He's sawing boots like the Ginzu knife demonstration.
In Brian's mind, the alicorn is just like it's a katana.
It's certainly
Sharp
sharp.
from end
It's
to end.
sharp enough to do damage.
Is it sharp
Give
from
me
end to
a
end, or is it sharp
real
from the
world
pointy side?
equivalent.
A real
its
world
sharpness.
equivalent? Yeah, man. Okay,
How
so
Like a
sharp are we
lance?
talking?
Okay.
I don't know, but it's let's say for sake of discussion,
Like
it's
a drill?
Yeah, let's say it's like a drill, but I'm not saying it's just you'll notice that it's not like a corkscrew like a pig's tail. It's like this it's got sharp edges as it goes around.
Is that
more
how
like
a narwhal
drill bit.
horn works?
What's that?
Is that how a narwhal's horn works?
I don't know. How does a narwhal?
Not like that.
It's like a lance.
Allow me to reiterate that its alicorn is magic and it has like mind powers and can go invisible and stuff. Don't underestimate the unicorn. You guys are like, I don't know, grab the horn and just, you win. I think that's how it works.
If I was a centaur and I would want to be like, if I was a centaur and I had to put up with all of the jokes the kids made, I'd be like, who would I want to be able to beat up in the forest? If girls didn't like me and girls liked unicorns, all I would do is I'd dream about how to kick a unicorn's ass. all right?
Okay, but here's the thing.
And then I just yell, "Hey, ladies, I'm hung like a me."
But here's the thing: sitting around dreaming about what jerks unicorns are doesn't mean that you're able to beat them. Because
Then
it doesn't
I would go
work-
to Neil Stevenson. I'd say we need to make a game so I can practice this.
Okay. It's
And
called.
then I imagine
Then
the
I
fight
would
would
get
kind of be like.
sparring horses and put lances on their heads.
I imagine it would kind of be
Practice.
like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where you just have to sort of dodge.
You have to wait until their
the
eyes
unicorn
glow
thing, and
red.
then you're just gonna punch it right in the right position, and his horn's just gonna go flying away.
We better throw to a commercial break or something right now because it's getting too heated.
I'm about to
Yeah.
punch someone when their eyes
This is
turn
actually
red.
worse than the Mars debate. Let me remind everybody that Rob Harper would like you to listen to this interview in a Russian accent, and he paid $30. So goddamn, am I gonna do it? The Republic of Finland has released their radio archives of the General Republic Finland all-time radio, horror, adventure, comedy, and sci-fi, full cast audio, plays direct from Finland. Now available at Vinland, hold on, vinlandalltimeradio.podbean.com.
Just once and give the URL in English.
http://vinlandoldtimeradio.podbean.com, and that is two N's in Vin, VINNLAND, oldtimeradio.podbean.com. And we thank Rob for sponsoring the podcast. Remember, you can get your $30 listener sponsor spot in by going to weirdthings.com/sponsor.
And by the way, we are not in a position to absolutely verify how many people will hear your message, but I can unequivocally state with 100% confidence that at least 20% of planet Earth will hear it. We're talking over 1 billion people plus. And that's a promise from Brian Brushwood for only $30.
Yes, and if you don't get that listenership, then you can go to Brian, who lives at the following address.
1-800-UNICORN-HORN StabYouEvisceration.com.
I love the idea of throwing open the questions because you get some interesting ones and then you get frightening ones. Want to hear a frightening one?
All right,
Yes.
number one, I love the idea of open mailbag episodes of the podcast.
I'm going to read this
I'm
without
having a
the
great
parenthetical first. Then I'm going to give you the parenthetical.
time. All right.
Hey guys, love the show. Here's a question for you. I recently had an experience of sleep paralysis, and so I was wondering whether any of you have experience with this phenomenon.
I
Now,
have.
do you want to hear his experience?
Let's address it one level at a time. We'll pretend like he threw that out and we're all gonna answer, and then we kick it back to him. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't think I have, although I have experienced lucid dreaming. That was a lot of fun. And I find weirdly with my dreams, when I wake up, no matter how miserable the dream was, I always have this perverse desire. Like, I remember my first thought of the morning is, I want to go back there. Like, just to find out what happens next, or to right the wrong, or to go back to flying in magical armor.
Bonnie, I want to go back into my dream.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, great. I'm awake next to my beautiful wife and children.
Yeah.
Please let me go back to dreamland where I was being eviscerated by space aliens.
Justin?
Yeah, I have never had sleep paralysis. I've slept walked, and actually, I've talked to Brian a lot recently about
The reverse
sleep
of sleep.
patterns. Now that I'm on the road with the Go game more, and have like just different responsibilities that I've been doing a lot of waking up in the middle of the night with things I need to do, and sometimes going and taking a shower.
No, by
And,
the way, like, this is no lie. Justin Robert Young is a regular somnambulant Sammy when it comes to night journeys. He is all kinds of boogie feet.
yeah,
when he's
but
asleep.
never paralysis. Although I'm a little bit familiar with it because it goes along with another kind of phenomenon which we are very interested here at weirdthings.com. But Andrew, please read the parenthetical.
And actually, let me before we hear the parenthetical, let me just
Will I
say.
get my sleep paralysis experience,
Oh,
guys?
wait,
Am I
do you
good?
have one?
Please.
No
I'm sorry,
way.
I didn't understand my
Wait,
place
you
here.
you
Sorry.
actually have one? That's amazing. No,
It's
tell
the
us.
guy that has sleep paralysis. Maybe I could interject something.
Yes, tell
I'll
us.
save it for another time. Let's move on.
And Andrew's like Ron Paul at the Republican debates when they're talking about healthcare and they skip Ron Paul and he's like, "Well, why don't you talk to me? I'm the only doctor on stage."
Yes, I haven't had it recently. I used to get sleep paralysis occasionally, quite frequently, and I had some horrifying experiences. Not like the parenthetical here. I was in Japan where I was living. I remember one night I woke up, I couldn't move, and I look out into the darkness, and I see a face. I see a face with, like, looks like he's wearing a bowler hat and had kind of a long, thin nose. It was a very frightening thing to look out there and see this face just kind of looking in a very frightening, scary way.
he
And
said,
I'm telling
"Hello."
myself, like, okay, if this is real, ain't nothing I can do about it. If this is not real, just wait it out. Wait it out. And I would try to move. And I would not be able to move my body. It was just so intense of a sleep paralysis. And so
The character, just to be clear, he leaned forward and he said, "A little Tolchuk on the Gulliver."
it looked kind of
Down
like
the red
looked kind of
Crovey.
like, from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Well, eventually, as I'm awake, can't move, I see this, the image fades away. And what it was just the shape of the clothes in my closet. But it was just one of those things where your brain's immediately trying to say, the pattern image is trying to say, what is this? What is this? I had this when I lived downtown Fort Lauderdale. I had an apartment. I was on the ground level. And sometimes I would wake up and I was right by like some gravel where people could walk by. And so I'd be there sleeping and I'd hear people walking and I'd wake up and I'd try to move and I couldn't move. And you hear this sort of, you're something walking around you, and it was just disturbing. It was just a really frightening thing. I don't get it anymore, but so our friend here, a demon child tried to drag him into a mirror.
What?
Of course
But
it
that's
did.
a story for another time. He writes.
What do we do?
No, that's a story for now.
Well, you don't just drop. I'm sorry. What show did you think you were writing into? Scientific things? No, it's weird things.
All right, so like a demon. Because number one, that sounds like a sequel to Drag Me to Hell, right? Like that the demon child comes out and tries to drag him into or maybe that's more of like an '80s Wes Craven kind of plot device.
Scary.
It's terrifying.
So yeah, sleep paralysis is scary. That's even worse. And if I believed in aliens and stuff, like when I've had it before, I'd be like, "Yep, that's there. I'm gonna get probed."
Well, that's what I was referring to when I said that it's largely a part of the physical explanation of when people say that they think if they've been abducted by aliens. Many times, not of course all the time. We'll leave open the window of possibility that people are being abducted by aliens, but many times it is sleep paralysis. And like Andrew said, it's the idea of the brain kind of working overtime to solve pattern puzzles when not all the information is available.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like the brain is so good at solving puzzles that it solves them when they're not even there. It's just like there's some noise, there's something in there. It's like, well, let's find it, and it'll find it wher it was originally there or not.
Most
I mean, it shows you. Go ahead.
Let's say our brain's like the most sophisticated pattern recognition system there is, which means a lot of false positives.
And it shows you how creative we are, that like we can just seamlessly sort of weave in these kind of narratives, like the fact that like what is a creepy face, what is a creepy image, what is, you know, the idea of weaving in our own insecurities and fears and everything into this terrifying, all immersive experience.
So Serpico, that's Alex Serpico, writes, you could have the superpower to hear the thoughts of every other human, which would span the spectrum from just general nonsense to the darkest depths of their psyche. Would you?
Nope.
Note that this ability would not be possible to shut off nor do selectively.
Nope.
Yeah, if you're just getting, because like, you know, even Professor X like has the Cerebro thing, and like that's like a pain in the butt. That so rarely goes right in X-Men, right? Like that's always going wrong. That someone's screwing around with Cerebro, or he starts tapping into people that he shouldn't, or it's too.
It's almost unfair a question, because I can't think of a single reference in any kind of pop culture or science fiction of anything that turned out well with someone who had the ability to hear thoughts and couldn't shut it off. And I'm talking about all the way from from the Twilight Zone episodes to, there was an episode of Gilligan's Island when they all got telepathy. Do you remember this? They could all hear each other's thoughts and they started kicking each other's ass and fighting all the time.
I think it never turns out well for the person. I would say that if you were an extremely selfless person, maybe you would volunteer to do this because you could like find, you know, kidnappers of children and terrorists and stuff. But you're going to go nuts.
Yeah, you would be literally trading your own sanity and mental health in order to be a valuable tool for your country if you're going to go down that way. But that's
none of us are willing to do that.
No, not me. Not this guy. Way too scary. Can we go back to talking about unicorns?
Next question.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think that. I mean, that's almost like an unfair question. Like there should be like people are working around the clock and they expect to in the next 5 years to have a device that can narrow it down and narrow your frequency. But would you do it?
Would you take 5 years of insanity of hearing every petulant, terrible, backbiting?
I think the problem is, it's like, I think for some people they just I'd want to know, you know, but it's like, and we're people who found out and don't want to know, you know, we've realized what goes on in there and it's never good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like asking you like about your girlfriend's past boyfriends or anything like that. It's never made the relationship better.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it.
So, a versus Randall Flagg.
Okay.
Stephen King mythology.
Richard Fannin.
Okay. What's that?
Nothing.
Big fan? You're a big fan, Brian?
No, I just said Richard Fannin, but that would be crazy if Richard Fannin and Randall Flagg were the same person. I don't know why I said that. Forget about it.
It said Randall Flagg, totally different, versus the Joker. That's Randall Flagg because he's magical.
Oh, yeah, no. He's got actual powers, and he's not just bat crap insane with makeup on his face.
Yeah, that's... Next question.
Yeah, I like the way you didn't even give Justin a chance to respond. You're like, I think we're done here. Randall Flagg has the trash can man at his disposal. That alone would take on Joker.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Justin, you want to add
to
to
be
that?
honest, I'm not really super familiar with Randall Flagg.
Justin is not a big Randall Flagg guy, so that's why I just kind of decided to spare him the embarrassment, Brian, that you wanted to throw in his face.
Well, the thing is, like Stephen King has this brilliant ability to take like fully 1/3 of all the villains he's ever created and figure out a way in one book to say essentially, they're all the same guy. Like, this is not even an exaggeration. Like, if you've read 3 Stephen King books, one of the bad guys in those 3 books is pretty much the bad guy of all the books because he does that awesome cross promotion Dark Tower stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
So, Chris writes, running the Weird Things Gauntlet, listening to every episode in order, parenthetical, everybody has a parenthetical, by the way, it's why I love our audience, and loving it, by the way. Haven't heard any discussion of the Megalodon and the possibility of its existence in deep recesses of the ocean, such as the Marianas Trench. I've heard teeth have been discovered that are less than 10,000 years old. It gives me chills to think of floating in the South Florida Ocean and seeing a shark the size of a tour bus slowly ascending towards you. Is it weird? I kind of want that to be how I die. Love you guys.
Okay. Now, first of all, before we talk about the Megalodon, let me just say I am a strong, strong advocate of the fact that
Death wishes.
we're all going to die.
Colorful death wishes.
We're all going to go out. If you are going to go out, like I used to worry about, like, what if the end of the world happens on my watch? What if there's a nuclear war? What if that is the end of humanity forever? And I remember thinking, like, well, if you have to choose from the great menu of when to go out, like, if I could choose before I was even born, I think I would choose to be part of the last generation on Earth. So if you got to go out anyway, might as well go out seeing how it all ends.
I was just watching Deep Impact, and there's this spoiler alert. Astronauts try to save Earth, and they have to do this last-ditch effort to try to blow up the comet to try to save some. If they blow it up, humanity will survive. They won't get all of it.
Right. It won't be pretty. It won't be pretty, but
And then
they're
Elijah
like,
Wood throws a ring
gotta-
in the comet.
yes, that's
And-
true.
They're like, we got to do this. And I'm thinking, like, they would like, Andrew, what do you think? They'd look over and they'd see me smiling. Like, why are you smiling? I'd be like, what better way to go out?
Yes. It's like
how did I die? Oh, I saved humanity.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
She's continued. After this, if we survive, it's all downhill from here.
yes. Justin, I don't hear you commenting on sacrificing yourself to save anything.
Yeah, no, that's groovy. I'm cool with that. But no, I'm with you on both sides. I think, like, if you're going to
Justin-
be part of the last generation, then that's pretty awesome. If you're going to save all future
Chomp my
generations,
Megalodon.
that's pretty awesome.
Justin could not sound more like the Weasley guy on the team who's like, "Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's save humanity."
Sure.
And then
'cause
last
I'm
minute just
so much
stabs
lower
one
than
of
you
us.
guys. Like, my grade is so much. Like, I was actually driving through. I had a guest in town for the last week, a completely platonic friend of mine, and she's very afraid of bridges. Like, she's terrified, specifically of the bridges in the Bay Area, because she's afraid an earthquake will shake the bridge.
They're
and
not called Bridgets anymore. They're called brittle people. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was of the opinion, and I told her, I'm like, listen, if an earthquake completely breaks the Bay Bridge and we all go falling into the ocean and die, like, that's fine by me. Because number one, I have no control over it, and number two, like, I'll be one of like a couple hundred people that died
It'll be a
falling.
memorial
into
marker, and
Well,
not just in a
plus also,
graveyard.
think about this. It's like, if you are going to go off the Golden Gate Bridge, better to do it with like a safety harness on and airbags than, just, off the side by yourself.
And Justin, one day, like 30 years from now, I'll drive across that bridge. Then when they rebuild it, my kids, you know what's special about this bridge? Like what? I'll go as in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, and I think I knew somebody who died here.
It's like a long time ago, before they rebuilt it, James Franco encountered some monkeys.
There's something else. I've been meaning to. It'll come to me.
But yeah, no, my threshold for how I die is very low in terms of it being like, I could be okay with how awesome it is.
A
Like,
new Taco Bell menu item.
yeah, it's fine. I'll die for that. I'll
The
die for
Inchirita
the
Ebola.
double chalupa burrito that comes out from Taco Bell. I'm fine.
So, Megalodon. Okay, here's the problem, Chris, and probably the good thing. The Megalodon, as far as we know, was a shallow water shark. It was not a deep water shark, so it probably wasn't like hanging out in the depths of the Marianas Trench. That was a very, very radically different environment for it. So that, like in the book Meg and the sequels to that was the premise that it was down there, but we have no reason to think that it was ever down that low, and most of its prey was higher up.
Well, okay.
And the 10,000-year-old Megalodon tooth, that was found apparently on the HMS Challenger, which was, one of the big, like in 1875, which was the expedition ship to go out there and look for, Challenger depth and all that. They said it was like 10,000 years old, but that was 1875 idea of how you date things. And that's not today. I mean, we would know that it wasn't that.
Now, when you say like, well, it's a shallow water creature, like you don't think it could be like, swimming out to sea and then die and then fall all the way? I guess that would be like hundreds of miles or something, huh?
Well,
That's
I mean, it could be, it doesn't have to be near coastal, but I mean, there's the idea is that you have they have different zones, paleologic zones and bathic zones where fish hang out and different species of fish, and where you're going to find like big schools of tuna and stuff. And there are deep water sharks. The goblin shark, rarely seen and an awesome looking shark, is a deep water shark. But the megalodon, the big giant shark that we're familiar with, it's not. But that's not to say there's not stuff just as scary or even more frightening down there. You could have kraken.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be an awesome thing I hope happens in my lifetime, is we just have a much more, better or comprehensive tools that we just get a really awesome look at the ocean or wide expanses of the ocean and can get pictures and a better sense of just what horrifying terrors are waiting down there and have lived down at the bottom of the ocean, just creeping around forever.
What else we got, Andrew?
We had kind of a political kind of one.
Yes, let's get political in this. I am proletariat.
Brian G writes, says, my biggest fear, I asked it for fears, is now that the Republican Party has embraced the non-critical thinking part of the electorate, the anti-science portion, the ones that don't believe in any government.
You didn't tell me it would be this kind of political question.
Yeah, the problem is there's the thing that the Texas Republican Party, which has always been the Texas Republican Party, had a anti-critical thinking component in their legislature, their description of what that party's about, and it's got a lot of. I've never met a Republican that agrees to every single portion in that Texas Republican Party plan. So, it's a very kind of this person.
All right. So anyway, Republicans be all dumb with science. Go on.
And that the Koch brothers are going to destroy the libertarian think tanks. Well, the Koch brothers founded the libertarian.
Oh my God!
So technically, they just be kind of they'd be dirtying up their own car if they.
Yeah, and actually, that there was a battle over control of that. That's been settled.
What is this question? All right. Just read the question as is. I won't interrupt.
By the way, I've sat in the living room of Charles Koch. By the way.
Yeah. Did you do Coke with Koch?
Was it nice guy? Very, very. This guy's trying to say they're going to destroy science. He's actually went to MIT, has a degree in science, is a chemist, and modeled the whole success of the company Koch Industries on scientific management. So things are more complex than we want them to be. So then my side, he says, the liberal side would be the only ones pushing for solutions on how to govern.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Basically, be up to us to save the planet. Indemnify the space industry, not demonize, but we're going to Chinese on molten salt. Okay.
I hate all of you. I hate all of you equally. You are all self-righteous prigs and jackasses. I hate you Republicans. I hate you Democrats.
Says the guy screaming and calling everyone stupid. You're all so self-righteous, you people.
That's right. Listen, Justin, I don't know if you realize there's only two kinds of people in this world. There's stupid people, and then there's me. Your witness.
Your Honor. Guilty. Because I don't know how courtrooms work. Objection overruled.
All I'm going to say is when they do that matrix of science or anti-science attitudes, you find out what gets interesting is that when they do some things, Republicans or conservatives, social conservatives, we'll use that example because Republicans a big tent, Democrats a big tent. It's all big tents, and to use labels. Social conservatives tend to be more distrustful of institutions or people using the words of science to say something than so much science itself. But they would disagree with more scientific things that we believe to be true than maybe people who are, quote, were progressive. But when you start to parse through, when you look at things like genetically modified food, which is tested, it's safe, as safe as anything we can test for, you find that the people who are against that tend to be overwhelmingly liberal, progressive, or whatever. So it's like they all have their things.
Yeah. You know what? And I think that's what makes me mad about both sides of it. Like when you talk to a lot of people who, for example, don't want to believe that evolution is real because they hate the aesthetic idea of ew, monkeys. I don't want to believe we came from monkeys. And it's like, I want to punch them. But, it's like aesthetics don't carry into it. And then likewise, you talk to the, to the liberal soccer moms and they're like, ew, genetically modified frankenfood. It's gross. I don't want to give that to my babies. And it's like, I want to punch her.
Yeah, we get these, we just had the big environmental summit in Rio, and the airport was flooded with private jets and highly air-conditioned master, president suites in every hotel. And it's like, all right, there's this kind of believe there's science there, that's something that we're doing, an experiment, putting a lot of CO2 up there. I believe, I'm not smart enough to know a lot of this, but I believe that if I was around telling other people how they need to live their life, I'm going to probably make some sacrifices first.
Yeah.
All I'll say is, since I've moved out to California, I have not changed a bit. Just like in Florida, I like to go on my morning walks to the farmer's market after my sunrise yoga. And as I'm perusing all the farm fresh produce, organic, of course, there's this farmer's market in Oakland where, like...
Is this the one your guru told you about?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
This is before you voted no on Prop 8.
For all the progressive ideas, and there's a very liberal community, there's a lot of stuff that is very anti-science, a lot of alternative medicines and stuff that's been very very debunked and proven to be at best not effective, and at worst an absolute scam and harmful to people who seek actual remedies for things. So it's not like, I don't think either side really can put the badge on that says,
yeah, you get like, science. Look at those faith healers taking advantage of people. Oh, try this homeopathic remedy. It's great.
Sure.
It's this, I think an open mind is a mind willing to consider all possibilities and try to understand why other people see value in something. And,
That is one of the weird things for me, since we're doing a show called Weird Things, is the way there does seem to be idiocy that tracks on both sides. Or I'm gonna use the word idiocy, which is an unfair word that I'm throwing at them. But I'm gonna say non-scientific thinking. There is extraordinarily strong anti-evidence based thinking on both sides. There are issues that demonstrably have been proven and repeatedly proven on both sides to not work, that both sides adhere to, and I find that fascinating. And depressing.
You get one group will be critical that other people haven't accepted evolution, and then when you say, well, how does evolution apply to biology and economies, and the idea that markets work
free markets,
for the same reasons, and then that's different. You need control. Did you read
Shermer's book about economics and monkeys?
No.
The one, neither have I. The science, I think, is The Science of Good and Evil. Is that what it is? He talks about essentially how market mentalities cause people to have a perception of fairness, and how
I've read
nuts.
Ridley's stuff on that. That's markets, things like that. Markets are inherently, they function through morality, and people who are all these. When you really take Prisoner's Dilemma and you add the aspect of memory and put it into a social aspect, you find out people are good. People are good. Economy.
Well, and not only are people good, but they are staggeringly, shockingly good. Think about how many miles you drive in an entire lifetime. How many thousands, if not millions, of cars you pass less than 12 inches away from each other, speeding at 70 miles an hour, separated by nothing but an imaginary painted line and an agreement that in general we shouldn't run high-speed devices into each other because that would rob each other of life. That is staggering to me, that the number of social miscreants as a percentage is so unbelievably low. That's what drives me nuts about the perception, and you hear stuff like kids kidnapped. We all have this terrible image of a guy in a trench coat and glowing red eyes scooping up children to eat them or whatever. Whereas, I'm going to make up all these numbers. 99% are relatives that steal the kid, and most of the kids are returned within 24 hours. That's not to say that terrible things don't happen, but it's shocking to me how little horrific things do.
Well, here, figure it on this. There have been people who have, through a court of law and investigation, been determined to have a premeditated murder in their minds. And they've left their house and they've driven and murdered somebody else. And on that drive, they respected the boundary of the lines and didn't crash their car into somebody else, despite the fact that they wanted to end a life. Just not those lives. Those guys haven't done anything.
Whoa, this guy didn't.
It's this other person.
This guy didn't sleep with Steve from work. Come on, why would I kill him?
The population, there's going to be approximately 2% of people are going to be sociopath. That when you do the metrics and you measure, you're going to get 2% of people are sociopath. And that's going to be true of whether or not it's this free market libertarian ideal or it's a totalitarian socialist sort of structure or whatever, you're going to have them. And when you give them the power of legalize them to use violence to enforce rule of law and ethics and everything else, it can to be more problematic. And those civilizations, they seem to be the ones that rise to the top.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what.
There'll be bad people there. Maybe they'll run Enron. Maybe they'll run for Congress.
Yeah, dude, watch The Wire and realize that it takes a special breed of weirdo to actually want that kind of power. It's messed up.
Yeah. So, Brian, Brian asked the question here. I would say that obviously, you in asking us where we tend to come from this sort of, we think people are pretty good, kind of, that's why we tend to believe in markets and stuff, and we're not into sort of the paternalistic government sort of view. That's the answer you're going to get from us. So I don't know if it's satisfactory.
I'll tell you what's satisfactory, Andrew. The Antagonist Movement and their new DVD, The Dolls of Lisbon. What's it all about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Art, dolls, and crime. You can find all the details at the Dolls of Lisbon's listing on Amazon, or you can get it on instant video for only $1.99. Head on over to Amazon, type in The Dolls of Lisbon, Lisbon, like the town in Portugal, and you can enjoy it today from the Antagonist Movement. Thank you very much for sponsoring the Weird Things Podcast.
All right, we got a ton of these. We'll do rapid fire.
Yeah, ready.
Our buddy Dan Dirks.
DD.
So go back to your early 20s, before any of you had kids. You're given the opportunity to take a vial of liquid that will make you stop aging, cure all of your ailments, make you immune from disease, and increase your mental powers. However, there are 2 conditions to help the world population from exploding. 2 conditions. First one, if you take the liquid, you can no longer have kids, you are irreversibly infertile, and also you are barred from adopting kids from anyone that has not taken this liquid. 2, someone on the planet that you are not close to will die. If you take the vial, anyone that you are close to is immune from dying from this future. You will never know who the person is. The death will look like it occurred via natural causes. If too many take the vial, that such no one can die, will the liquid stop production forever? What do you do? I'll go Justin first. So
okay.
Go.
All right, I missed the first
All
part.
right, Brian, go.
Okay, well, let me just say this before I answer. Andrew, have you read the Dreaming Void trilogy?
Not all of it.
Okay. But you encountered Eddie Ard and his powers and what he could do and stuff. Okay, so one of the things in this story is that this person realizes he has the ability to dial back time. Whenever something goes wrong, he can unmake things, right? And there's a particularly pernicious character who's so rotten to the core, so evil that no matter how many times he rewinds reality to try to fix things with them, the guy figures out another way to ruin everyone, kill people, destroy things, take over this town or whatever. And so eventually he goes all the way back to the night this guy is conceived and drops a little something in the drink of the father who is about to rape the lady to make the baby. The side effect, he goes on to relive the 18 years of his life up until that point and is horrified to realize that one of his favorite grandchildren never becomes born. And that, out of everything, is what drives this character nuts. He's so angry that it's not that this person turned out different. This person was never made because he had to correct the evil from this other person. And that is why, like, I'm in that trap. I got kids, and there's nothing you could offer me that would make me unmake my children. There's no way. I am too emotionally bound to where I am.
Justin?
I don't think that these kind of solutions ever work. Yeah, I'm with Brian that, like, there's maybe it wasn't the point that Brian was going to make, but it was something that I thought about while Brian was talking, that, like, no matter how much you try to take a scalpel to fix the elements of life that we don't like, we can't do that without affecting elements that we do. That everything is woven together, and we can work inside of it. We can try to move the tides incrementally one way or another, but in these kind of solutions, it's never, nothing ever ends. I mean, this is the element that Watchmen forever changed my philosophy on.
And Yeah, and so to Dan's question, would I become immortal if somebody else died? No, no, I wouldn't.
Not even one
I couldn't
person?
live with the idea that somebody died so I could live forever. Even though I may disappoint people for
All right,
them
all right.
hearing
Let,
say-
let me gray area you right here. And I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, so I'll keep it short. Let's say somebody voluntarily said, "I'm going to cut off 10 years off of my life, so that you may live 100 more years. I give this to you freely of my own will." Would you
I might be
accept?
inclined to accept that.
All right,
Uh,
all right.
So this is our friend from Tavo Tower, Timur from chat room
T2T2.
says,
T2,
right
T2, yeah.
right before the show, there was a conversation. Somebody, we won't want to mention names, but somebody happens to work in a laboratory where they said that they looked into a cage one day and they saw a mouse that was born with no front legs and it looked kind of like a frog mouse because it had big back legs.
Oh, wait a minute.
So T for T wants to know, what is best way to prepare for the coming frog mice apocalypse? He says,
cheese.
breed special cats.
I would say we need to genetically engineer
Snake cats.
Pegasus.
Snake cats.
Take it, Pegasus, as fast as we can. Air superiority.
Derek writes, if a weeping angel looked at a silence, would it attack?
Wait, if a what?
No.
Question.
What would happen is they both realize that they're basically the same character and they shouldn't have done the exact same creature design. And by the way, the silence was basically ripped off from Buffy anyway. And the last season of Doctor Who was underwhelming. That's the answer.
All right, moving right along. Travis writes, my name is Travis. I've been a huge fan of the show for a long time. Saw your Twitter post about questions for the show. I recently saw a movie, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. Find it hard to believe in this era that scientists couldn't find a way to break up the asteroid. My question is, what methods would break to destroy an asteroid colliding with Earth? Or what could be the best survivor scenario? Guys, keep up the awesome work. I'll give just quick back. The problem is not all asteroids are the same. Some asteroid, we get hit every day by asteroids. Some, specks of dust. Some of them could be the size of Manhattan.
Keep in mind also, there's not only the size of the asteroid, there's how close they are at the time we decide to take action. Taking action when it's out of the orbit of Pluto is way different from the orbit of Mars.
So you got, when we get to the time, so the size thing, if you have something that we've had things bigger than Texas hit us, and that's how we got the moon. We just sort of this big collide, two planets, protoplanets collide and get there. You could take every nuclear bomb we've ever made and put it on a big piece of rock, and it ain't going to do anything. It's going to chip it, tiny little bits of it. And then as Brian points out, depending on how close it is, if it's a smaller one, we break it up, we still get a lot of matter coming into our atmosphere, and it's still got velocity. And we may not have, it's not just the big boom when the impact hits, it's all of that matter hitting there. Maybe giving it more surface area will allow more of it to burn up in the atmosphere. So it's a big problem. The two biggest things Brian points out is how far away it is when we know, and the second thing is how big it is.
But as far as what you can do, there's really only a few options. And of course, the first thing that pops into people's mind is send a nuke into it and blow it up. And they're like, well, if that's going to be on the surface, it's not going to really do much. Well, then we all saw Armageddon, so you got to drill a hole and blow it up in there. Then the problem is you still have the exact same amount of mass. It's just a shotgun shell instead of a single slug. But then there's other options. For example, you could the most effective from an energy standpoint is to land a craft on there and do what's called a mass drive, which essentially means imagine a little gremlin standing on the surface of an asteroid, grabbing pieces of the asteroid, ripping it off, and throwing it away. For every piece it throws away, that trajectory, the piece thrown off goes, we'll say 1,000 kilometers an hour in one direction. Then the rest of the asteroid goes 1 kilometer an hour in the opposite direction. And if you keep doing that, especially if you have enough time, you can steer it way clear of the Earth with plenty of time to spare.
You still need a ton of, you're still going to need a ton of energy. The problem is it comes down to sort of like distance and energy you have available to use. And because there's some people here like, oh, all we need is we'll use a gravity tug. We'll put a smaller object in orbit and tow it away. And like, that's great if you got 40 years to deviate it.
Right. Well, and then there's other things like, for example, as a matter of fact, in the story that I'm reading right now or just finished reading on Audible, Wild Cards, there's one case where there's this asteroid headed towards the planet. And so some fictional superhero flies up and essentially blasts solar energy at one side of the asteroid, causing it to melt and eject all of this steam and I want to say effluvia. Would that be an appropriate use of the word? I don't know. Effluvia down, and all of that causes it to essentially make it kind of a mild rocket shooting the asteroid out of the way.
Well, that's another approach, is the idea of if it's an asteroid, painting the asteroid so that it heats differently.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So you got a light side and a dark side, and the sun's energy starts what, like spinning it out, or?
Yeah. Our best
I did think there was something that we covered on Weird Things TV that was a theory of using nukes to knock it off course or to change.
That would be our first approach. That's what it would be. We would try to nuke it to try to deviate. The further out, the smaller amount of force. If it's far enough out, a firecracker could theoretically do what you need. The best bet is right now nukes, but the second best bet, we got to start thinking about antimatter production.
You know what? I think you're right. If for no other reason, because I want antimatter production.
Yeah. Closer than you think.
An antimatter production.
What else we got?
What's that thing off the coast of Finland? Is the Millennium Falcon? Is it a hoax? Right? What is it?
Are you talking about the Google Earth image that looks like a Millennium Falcon? It's
the underwater thing guys just have gone down to and say that radios don't work and stuff.
Oh, look, I mean, this is what's beautiful about this.
Is it where the bullion cube alien from Prometheus is hanging out?
The bullion cube alien. No, this is what's great about weird phenomenon is like just find something weird, go there and look for other odd things, but don't actually try to figure out why the odd things are happening. Just shrug your shoulders and be like, oh, well, I lost my equilibrium here. It's another effect of the weird thing.
Drew writes, if aliens come and are not nice and decide to go to war with us, what can we possibly do to survive the coming onslaught? Justin.
I don't know, something we've done always. We fight things we can't, we think we can't beat. We survive, or we go underground and we survive. I mean, whatever. I mean, like, it's just such a broad question. Like, we don't know what these things are. We don't know what their capabilities are. We just know that they're not nice and they want to fight. Then we fight unless we think we can't win, and then we look to survive. Justin.
Spoken like a misty-eyed optimist. What we do is not what you want us to do. What we do is what every technologically inferior native population has done in the face of an aggressor with superior technology. We curl up and die. That's what we do.
Can I throw out a
curl
little
up
crazy
and die?
theory?
You tell me that we don't assimilate? That there haven't been lesser cultures that have assimilated into other cultures?
Not of different
when they're this
species.
advanced. I got a theory. Anybody want to hear my theory?
Go ahead.
65 million years ago, maybe we were at war. Maybe something wanted Earth, slammed in. Maybe it had some genes that didn't exist before. Was able to make itself look kind of like a mammal. Put it on the Earth. Slammed a big rock in there to get rid of the big dinosaurs so they wouldn't chew them up. Maybe
I love that
the first
idea.
alien occupation happened then, after an asteroid, and it was an asteroid directed at us intentionally.
I love it.
With a firecracker 40 years before.
All right. Real fast. You're the commander of a mission to an unexplored life-bearing planet. In addition to your human crew, you can take 3 cryptids along with you. Which do you choose?
Is Brainiac a cryptid? Can I count him as one?
No.
Okay.
Go fast.
3 cryptids. I'm gonna go. My favorite cryptids. Chupacabra. I'm taking. I'm definitely taking.
There's only 3 cryptids anyone can name. You can name Chupacabra, you got Chuppy, you got Bigfoot, and you got Nessie. Who else is there?
Jersey Devil.
Yeah, he don't really count. He's playing for the ice hockey league.
All right, we'll move on. Unicorn meat, would it be good for you or bad for you?
I don't know. According to my shirt, it says that it's filled with glitter glue, dark meat, brisket, veggie bacon, magicalness, Kentucky Waterfall, McRibs, and Rainbow Factories.
So it all tastes like bacon.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it tastes great, and it's served with gluten-free quinoa and a raspberry soy sauce reduction at any restaurant in San Francisco.
What is a centaur hung like?
A centaur? Duh.
All right. Who'd win in a fight, Magneto versus Plastic Man?
Well, that's stupid. Next question.
What is the weirdest comic book graphic novel you ever read? Not the best or worst, just the weirdest.
You know what? I'm gonna say my favorite. Yeah, they said not the best or worst. I'm gonna say The Thing versus the Hulk, where it's like they're out in the desert and all of a sudden they both get sucked into an alien world where the Thing, they're like, we need muscle. So the Thing and the Hulk, they both kick alien ass, and they're like, we will grant you 2 wishes. And then right at the end, the Thing is about to wish for the one thing he always wishes for, which is the ability to turn back to human. And then the Hulk just randomly says, we want food and we want to go home. And then the last frame of the comic book is them in the desert with the Hulk smiling as he's eating from a mountain of hamburgers and the Thing getting ready to kick his ass.
I would say The Invisibles by Grant Morrison. It's very weird. I don't think I understood a goddamn word of it.
Yeah, I would say anything by Grant Morrison. All right. Was there any major drama behind the cancellation of Game On? I was really sad to see the show go.
Yeah.
This is true.
Well, we're proud to announce that Game On has been renewed in an alternate reality.
Yes.
With Nessie and the Jersey Devil when he's not playing in his ice hockey.
All right. I think we've got, let me see if we got one more. I skipped through just a couple of them because they're kind of redundant to stuff. Any thoughts on the Jersey Devil? We've never discussed it before.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I mean, the Jersey Devil is one of those cryptids that has, been a story that's been revised a couple times from like it being a mythical kind of like Catholic curse sort of humanoid creature to more of a chupacabra, Bigfooty kind of unknown animal sort of cryptid running through the marshlands of Jersey. So, I mean, what I think is that the origin of the Jersey Devil, that like a woman gave birth to it, is pretty awesome and one of my favorite cryptid origin stories. So I'll stick to that.
All right. Last question is
coming up right now.
Do you think that there are other beings, aliens, lizard people, octopus, that are posing as human? Who?
Brian.
I would like to recuse
Brian's
myself
the octopus
from this
and
question.
Andrew's the lizard.
I can neither
I'm the
confirm
weasel.
nor deny. Got somewhere to go.
I mean, that'd be great. I would love it if we could unmask some people, living as sort of alien counter agents. There was a moment in the new Predators movie that I thought they completely missed the boat on an awesome twist. Where for everybody who hasn't seen it, there's a couple revelations of some of the characters, and there's one character who turns out is on the planet. Everybody's on the planet for a certain reason, and one of the characters, the character played by Topher Grace, is there for a specific reason, even though we don't quite know why it is.
Are you preserving a spoiler for a movie that came out 2
He has
summers
an
ago?
alien symbiote.
Yes. But I thought it would be great because you gotta figure the Predators have to have some agent on Earth. Like, it's not like there's a Predator who's down here in like a fedora and a trench coat and he's like, so where do you think the big warriors hang out? I'm asking for a friend. They gotta have humans down there that they're contracting with. And I was hoping that was what it was. And it wasn't. That Topher Grace was really just the bag man for the Predators, that he just gets communications through some sort of shadowy back channel and is the one that tags all the people that are going to eventually go.
His wife picks up the phone. It's for you.
So I love the idea of alien agents on Earth. That's great.
Last one before we go to picks. Dear Bri, thanks for signing my fire extinguisher. Not a question, but there it is. Ruben.
Did I sign a fire
PortCon?
extinguisher? Oh, yeah, no, he actually brought a fire extinguisher to the show. Let me say real quick, thank you.
I could figure that out from the email, Brian.
Thank you.
You haven't convinced us you remember him yet.
To Patrick Delahanty and all of the crew over at PortCon, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet with a lot of awesome voice talent who works on anime shows. We did the full Bizarre Magic show. We did a BB Live show after party thing. It was awesome, and I had such a good time, and thank you to everyone who made it out. There was a shocking number of the Diamond Club contingency who made it out, and it was really, really flattering.
Cool. Do we have any more commercials?
Just to remind everybody to please download Hollywood Pharaohs, Andrew Main's newest book, and Scam School Book 2, Brian's fantastic new ebook. Check them out on Amazon.
Please.
Or iTunes.
Picks.
I got one.
Brian.
I got one.
All right, so we were talking about dreams and sleep paralysis earlier, and it turns out that there is a real gem that I've actually watched a couple of times now. It was originally
Jim, the cartoon.
It was she's truly outrageous if you think about it. In 2009, there was a Nova special called "What Are Dreams?" and it was about the fundamentals of what we've learned about dreaming. And it turns out,
is this the one directed by Charles Colville and Sarah Holt? And cast of Jamie Efros, Deidre Barrett, Patrick.
Yeah, it is. I'm really
I would
impressed.
describe the movie as both cerebral and streaming and on DVD.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera away now. The point is, it's available for free right now, and here's what's cool about it. I learned a lot during this. I learned, first of all, that you don't just dream during REM sleep. You also dream during deep sleep, and you have different types of dreams. You have some dreams that are flashes of random images, sort of a rehash of the day, but you also have dreams that are real-time events that are they're why you experience sleep paralysis, because in cats they've been able to induce they severed whatever connections caused the sleep paralysis, and these cats, when they dream, they physically get up and walk around, and they actually experience stuff, and it makes the interesting supposition, or basically it makes an interesting case for the purpose of dreams is to run simulations for problems that you encounter in life so that you're better equipped. And one of the examples they do is they have one psychological study where they have a guy play a snow skiing simulation game. And they tell him it's very important that he get as high a score as he can. He plays all day. They say you'll be tested again tomorrow. And then they put him to sleep. And when he sleeps overnight, they wake him up periodically to ask what he's dreaming about. And a lot of these people describe dreams where they're walking through snow, or they're thinking about avalanches, or they're picturing themselves in a cold, snow-covered environment. And the next morning, they find that their scores improved because essentially they spent all night trying to solve particular problems, running simulations in their mind. It's absolutely fascinating. I really enjoyed it, and it's up on Netflix. What Are Dreams? The Nova special is what you want to look for.
Brian, do you chase rabbits in your dreams?
Sometimes. Can you tell me about the rabbits?
And here I thought dreams were only vulnerabilities for which corporate thieves could steal my secrets.
I will also say that you guys should watch Tron Uprising, because there are like 5 episodes. They're all free. They're up on Disney. If you go to, I think, disney.com/Tron, they're all on there. Really enjoying it. The art style is gorgeous.
I'm gonna give a pre-pick to The Amazing Spider-Man, because I'll guarantee you,
Spider-Man fever, catch
if this
it.
movie sucks, I'm still gonna like it because I just love Spider-Man. Like, I walked out of Spider-Man 3, and that's a movie that is fairly legitimately terrible. And there are still parts that will come up on cable, and I'd be like, "Oh, look, Spider-Man!" and he's fighting Venom.
I'll tell you what, man, the early buzz sounds like it's going to be the surprise hit of the summer. So far, and not to too much cross-pollinate, but your picks during the summer movie drafts, Ted did better than expected. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Number one original R-rated comedy.
It made over $56 million. So
we'll bigger than the original Hangover.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man. I love the cast. I'm very excited to see it tonight. By the time that this episode comes out, the movie will be out in theaters, so I highly recommend everybody go see it, because I think I'm gonna like it a lot.
My pick is, I just watched this last night. It was on Redbox, and when it came out in the theaters, I'm like, I don't want to see this in a theater. And then I watched it, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It's Contagion.
Oh yeah,
Steven
no,
Spielberg.
I heard great things about it. I heard it's a infection movie that really pays respect to the actual science, about the actual procedures of what the CDC would do, about the real concerns, not what would make for good Hollywood flash and trash.
Yeah, it's a very, to mine, and I've been doing, I've written a book. I'm doing another one that sort of deals on some of these themes, and I do, I would never pretend to be any kind of expert on stuff, and I certainly take a lot of license when I want to tell the kind of story I want to tell. But what he wanted to do was tell this kind of bad case scenario sort of story that, with the semi within the realm of plausibility. And, what would happen if you had one of these, a new virus come out that wasn't something we were familiar with, and kind of you eventually find out the end where it came from, but what would happen through, the day 1, day 2, day 3, and try to tell a very realistic tale. And I thought it was very well done, very good, very kind of scary. And the thing that, I would say about this, and people, you worry about asteroids and other stuff, is what you're much more likely to have 100 really close calls before you get the thing that wipes out, society, or you're going to have a minor airplane malfunction before you're going to have a major airplane malfunction.
Right. Right.
And you're going to have you're going to get we had in the Spanish flu killed something like 1% of the population. When we had in the Dark Ages, or excuse me, with the plague, we had periods where that in some places killed a third of the population. So we're going to get the one that kills 0.5% or 1% or 5% before we get the one that kills 90%. So don't worry, okay?
You'll be fine,
but the
bro.
1% one will change life as we know it. It would be very scary and frightening. But just relax.
Can I give one on your theme here? One additional plug for a little game called Plague Inc. that is available on iOS, where your stated goal is to
Eradicate humanity.
Yes, it is amazing. Like you get different genetic markers. You mutate over time, and you could be whether it's a virus, a bacteria, or a neurotoxin, or all these other things, and you base a parasite, and they all have different rules of their infection rates and so on. It's way fun because you find yourself unironically saying things like, the problem with Iceland is that it's so isolated and that they're a rich country and it's harder to infect. So what you need to do is up your resistance to drug, mutate regularly, and make sure to infect seaports. Make sure that you're transmittable by liquids.
That's awesome. It's like Sim City for germs.
It really is.
Yes.
And you find yourself like agonizingly frustrated as you're like, come on, New Zealand, I hate you.
That's disturbing. The upside is that we're getting much faster. We've talked about this before. It's sequencing viruses and being able to find out what makes them work. That doesn't mean we've been able to cure a bunch of viral diseases, but we are getting better. We come up with things like Tamiflu, which is, do you know how Tamiflu works, by the way?
Yeah, it's the moment you find out that you've got the flu, you have to take it immediately, and it doesn't cure you. It just shortens the duration of the flu to like a day.
Yeah, what it does is it impedes the ability of the virus to leave your cell.
Oh, so it sticks it where it is, where it's like
so
if you're going to ruin that.
getting the keeping it continually where it replicates throughout there, that's what it does. So it doesn't generally attack the virus, and it works with certain strains. And some strains maybe you increase the dosages, but it's not a catch-all, cure-all kind of thing by any chance. But I thought that was interesting. Well, how does Tamiflu work? And I was looking that up, and so, And of course, the problem is that we can only get the main ingredient is from like the star anise flower or something like that, and it's like extremely hard to get hold of, and 90% of the production is used for that, and it's one of those things but that's why guys like Craig Venter and stuff with Cellular Genomics and these other companies are trying to save the world.
Those big pharma companies always trying to save the world just so they could turn a profit. Way to go, big pharma.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving our lives just to throw us into slavery, jerks.
I'm going to get acupuncture on my eyeballs. And then I'm going to eat a nectarine that came from an equal opportunity co-op.
You've changed.
Take my homeopathic remedy.
You've changed.
Good night, everybody. It's been weird.
That was a good one.
It was fun.
That was fun. I really like that one.
Yeah. Okay, what are we calling this? This is 12.
And we got through every single one of the questions.
02. I'll do listener questions. Can't believe you guys were on Team Unicorn over the Pegasus.
I just like I don't know. I was very challenged to think of the offensive capabilities of the Pegasus without making him human.
Yeah. Yeah.
See how Simone and Andrew Core were watching us?
Yeah, I did. Hold on, let
We're
me
still
throw
live, right? So we could still be there right now?
They are right there right now. We're going to take a moment and we're going to
Oh,
show
that's
off.
awesome.
That is freaking dope. I like their background too. That's adorable.
So I say we stare into their living room.
They're running to grab a photo right now. We'll wait. We'll wait.
All right, hope they got it by now.
Woo! Hope so. Wow.
Hey, let me give everybody a shout out in front of everybody. Tony Lay has been writing a lot for Weird Things, and he's been killing it, man. He's doing such an amazing job. Everybody go ahead and follow him on Twitter. Tijuana Taxi is his Twitter handle. Let him know he's doing a great job because he's really been fantastic on the site.
Tony is amazing. We got the chance to hang out with him a while ago. It was good seeing him. He, yes. Everyone should follow Tijuana Taxi. That's Tijuana.
He's one of those guys also that like every time you talk to him more, you find out there's like another level of coolness like to him. Like you just scratch the surface and he's like, I was up late last night. And I'm like, oh yeah, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm working on, and then he says like the coolest possible thing that's happening in Orlando with like theme parks. Like he's helping create that and like make it a
You know
reality.
who he's like? He's like Zach Holder, Lonely.geek in that regard. Whereas just like you keep waiting to call bullshit on him, but then he just keeps being more awesome than you had expected.
Waiting to call bullshit on him.
Well, because like Zach Holder would be like, yeah. So anyway, I was doing this gig and I did a sound check for the Rolling Stones. That was kind of cool.
I just like the fact that Brian, you're ready to go, liar, liar.
Well, it's like, here's the thing. A lot of people say things to me, and maybe, you know how it is people want to impress you when you're there doing a lecture or whatever, and you hear people say things, and you're just like, all right, yeah, that's sure. Let's both pretend this is real.
Because sometimes Lonely.geek it'll sound like John Lovitz's Tom Lee Flanagan character.
Yes.
It'll just be like, and then I sent my remix to Flow Rider. Yeah. He followed me on the DJ message boards. And then, in fact, he gave me his personal phone number and we exchanged phone calls. Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Ticket.
Here's the thing. He always turns out to be right. It turns out not to be a lie. 100% of the time. It's unreal. Oh my God.
No, Lonely.geek's the best. And Tijuana Taxi, Tony Lay actually like would just send me 5 or 6 Weird Things stories on Twitter, and I'm like, "You want to, dude? You're better at writing this site than I am." And
Here,
so he did.
Can this be our new like Twitter avatar? It's pretty good, bro. Yes.
Pretty amazing.
I bet if they're a band, they're probably pretty crappy.
If they're a band, they're probably banned.
So, all right, I'm looking at this. I'm like, all right, Brian is the lead singer. I'm like on keyboards or something, or guitar or something.
Justin's got to be the wild man on drums, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if we mixed it up, we would probably, if we put Justin on vocals, we'd probably have a great band because then it would be like punk rock, edgy, and all that. As we're doing it, you and I, Brian, are like arguing over friggin' emo romantic lyrics and stuff.
You're like,
and
I'm like, you're like the character needs to save the earth at the end of the song, and I'm like, no,
Brian,
he needs
clouds,
to die.
Clouds, Brian.
Die.
Clouds.
Diamonds. I said diamonds.
Clouds.
I said diamonds.
Justin's like, hey,
clouds of diamonds.
Drunk party.
Maybe clouds of diamonds, guys.
How about we call it Drunk Party Diamond Cloud? Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Drunk Party Diamond Cloud. Drunk Party Diamond Cloud. You're ruining the narrative.
I think it was like Gerard Butler talked about how he was in a I think it was him. He was in a band for like a week or something in the I think the 80s because he used to wear a kimono or something.
Oh, Jesus.
They'd be like, "Oh, you'll be great. We'll put you on keyboards." And they're like, "All right, never mind."
So I saw Ted last night.
Oh, you did see it. How was it?
I saw Ted. I will say that it's what I said on Twitter, and then I'll explain it a little further. I very much think it is to Family Guy what Team America was to South Park, in that it is a very in that brand idea, competently made, and scaled up into a movie. Now, what is different is whatever your personal opinion of South Park and its relative quality to Family Guy is. Like Family Guy, I enjoy. I think can be very funny at times. Many times kind of overstays its welcome. Ted is in a very enjoyable hour, but is at its best a very competent, funny comedy. South Park is transcendently smart and brilliantly funny, and similarly, Team America is super transcendently smart and maybe the best political breakdown of war in the 2000s that was ever created. So I would say it's not as good of a movie as Team America. It's just if you think South Park and Family Guy are equally as funny and smart, then you will like Ted as much as you like Team America. That's my theory.
Well, I know how I'll react.
So, did you personally like it though?
I thought. I mean, it was a very enjoyable hour live action Family Guy. And I laughed a lot.
It's more than an hour long.
Or more than an hour long. Sorry, it does end a bunch of times. There are a few things I realized. Number one, Giovanni Ribisi kills in this movie. Like he has like this cameo. It's a smaller role, but he murders in this movie. And I was thinking, I can't remember the last time that Giovanni Ribisi was in a movie and he wasn't hilarious or awesome. He just is one of those guys that just shows up and does amazing work always. And then also like Mark Wahlberg he's a funny guy. He knows how to carry a comedy.
Have you guys seen the full trailer for Looper, the extended trailer?
No, the one that Rain Johnson said don't see because it'll ruin the movie.
Did he?
Yes.
Well, if only he had the publicity arm that the trailer had, because the trailer has a publicity arm that puts the trailer in front of my face. Whereas
maybe you
Ryan
should follow
Johnson's,
some of these people.
Yeah. And maybe if any of them asked me to follow him.
So is this new? I haven't seen if it's new. I saw the first trailer.
It's freaking amazing. You want to watch it? It's amazing.
No.
Why not?
Because it's
when
going to ruin the
Johnson
movie.
says,
Ryan
don't
Johnson
watch
said
this trailer.
All right.
And like some people like there's some like the Django Unchained. I'll watch every single frame that comes out because I'm just obsessed with the movie and I want to watch it a million times already. Because it's Tarantino. But like
wait. Django Unchained. Yeah.
Yeah. But like Looper, which is like such a concept movie. Like Ryan Johnson's I'm already in.
Why did he say don't see it? Like that's kind of a weird thing. Like, do you think he had a battle, or do you think he just found out after the fact that
these things are often made without? And he said that it had elements in there that he says are better if you don't know when you go in to see it.
I'll tell you what though, I'm a
let me ask you
billion
this.
times more excited. Like, let me tell you, after seeing this trailer, how about this? Do you remember on BB Live Show when we had Jeff Kanat on and we accidentally threw Inception in front of him and he freaked out like, I didn't want to see anything.
Yeah.
You're Jeff Kanata now. And so you got to decide if Jeff Kanata's... Yes, Jeff Kanata could have had a better experience by not seeing even what little we showed him since he had already decided to go see it. But I don't know that I really took anything away from him by showing him that trailer. Likewise...
When the director is saying, this trailer reveals too much, I've seen it and Brian Brushwood has not, follow my next tweet. If Brian tries to make you see it, I mean, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see Looper. You know, I'm a point. Some movies like I'd like to.
Yeah, but the directors also told us that Prometheus was going to be awesome. So I mean, take what you will from
the guy who directed Brick. Tell you that.
Look, I mean, no, the guy who directed Blade Runner told me that. The guy who directed Alien told me that. So yeah, you're right. That guy's got no
Thelma and
credibility.
Louise. So rest my case.
All I'm saying is I am much, much more excited for having seen the new trailer, and I've rewatched it like a dozen times. Love it, love it, love it, and it adds new elements that I didn't consider might be in there, and has me way more excited.
Not to see it.
Yeah, I guess that would be my difference of opinion is that like I could not be more excited from that first trailer. Like I'm all in on it. It confirms what I thought, which was it was going to be an awesome time travel movie with that cast, told in Rian Johnson's very specific visual style, and I'm over the moon and super thrilled for it. I didn't even know that there was a new thing out there, and I think I'd be fine if I didn't see it.
So here's let me flip this around on you. You realize I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna say for me, far and away, most movies, my enthusiasm outpaces what the movie's able to deliver, and so as a result, I've come to realize that my enthusiasm is pretty much the best part of the movie. The excitement for the movie is more movies than not the best part of the experience. So with that in mind, why not just dive in and watch trailers and get as excited? Because this is as good as it gets.
For you. That's a very, very valid point for you. And I hear what you're saying. If I thought that way that you did, I am sometimes surpassed. I'm often surpassed and I get into stuff and I like that. Like I like it when I go in there and it's better than I thought. And that happens.
All right, Brian, let me put it in this context, just specifically with Andrew. Do you want to Super 8 this movie for him?
Oh, where you show him the trailer and then he shouts out how it ends based because he can't stop his brain.
No. He didn't shout it out. He just said, I know how it ends.
Okay, all right, you're right.
I asked him how it ends.
He didn't just shout it out.
6 months later, the movie came out, even after the cinematographer specifically told him that's not how the movie ended.
And then that's exactly how the movie ends.
Just millimeters away from what he said.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. Look, I mean, here's the thing, man. It's like like weirdly, I'll tell you what, like I think about the video game Spore, and I derived pleasure for an entire year fantasizing about how awesome Will Wright's game Spore was going to be. Then the game came out, and to be honest, it was pretty shitty. But I look back and I still get excited. I want to go back and watch Will Wright's demonstration of Spore again, so I can capture that excitement. I love your
nostalgia for the hype. I genuinely love that. But I would say that like there's sometimes though where, you know, I get into it and I'm like, I go see it and I try not to know as much as I do because I just want it to unfold. And then when it does unfold, I'm blown away. I can start pulling stuff down off the shelf here where.
But now I hear what you're saying when you're saying I want to set the table to make a movie as it's as easy as possible for this movie to blow me away. But I'm telling you that the good movies don't even need you to set the table. You could pre-hype it and it'll still blow it away.
When I sit down to write a story, I have a sequence that I want to unveil. I have my ideal experience. I want it to hold up no matter what, but I want to have that ideal experience for people to encounter this, what they find out, and I can only control so much of that, and I have to be mindful now too when I write this thing, when people describe it, what'll happen there. But I have a plan. I have a plan for my audience. And when somebody says, hey, I have a plan, and I trust them, then I'll follow their plan. because when I do, I genuinely really enjoy it. It's all the better for me when I don't. You
See,
know,
I'll just specifically say this is this movie specific kind of thing. I would normally watch pretty much every trailer for everything, and to be honest, there's still a very good chance that before now and when Looper comes out, I'll wind up watching the trailer. However, the idea of for this specific movie, which is a very concept-y movie, is obviously easily the most ambitious that he has written in a genre, in the genre field, as it's called. I want to give him the chance to tell it in the way that he wants to tell it. If he is upset with the fact that this trailer is out there, then
so
in this moment in time, especially if there's Andrew there to keep me honest, I like the idea of let me go in as fresh as possible.
I'll give you an example. Like, there's a great moment in Zombieland, and if you don't know that's going to happen, and I heard rumors, I forgot, whatever, and so when I go see it, I'm like, I'm so glad I did not know, because this is so much more what TF, what happens there. I'm like, that's just so much cool to not know that's going to happen. And I've heard about, I kind of know what it is in 21 Jump Street. I wish I didn't know, because I want to see that movie, and there's a great kind of moment there. And those kind of things are kind of fun to be pure.
Well, I guess let me just say, and I am coming from the other side of it, and I don't know what the director had in mind, but having seen the trailer, I will say that there was nothing earth-shattering in the trailer. The only thing the new trailer indicated to me is that the story might be bigger than the story that the previous trailers showed.
Yeah, but it's also like, that's what kind of probably killed Cabin in the Woods for me too, was
knowing that the story might be bigger.
Was everybody telling me this is not the story you think it is, and so
But you wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
I know where it's going to go, because everybody's like, I'm not going to tell you, but this thing's going to happen. And it's like, well, all right, where's this going to go? And then so it's like, I enjoyed it, but I'm like, there was the people dancing around, and saying, it's, I don't know. I like, if you're sold on it.
Come here.
I have two things I need you.
All right, come here.
From you.
You need what?
I need two things from you.
What?
I need you to put these earplugs in, and I need sleeping tips.
You need sleeping what?
Tips.
Tips.
I can't sleep.
Okay. Are you
Somebody
saying,
too loud?
Are you telling me you want me to be quiet?
No. I'm telling you, I need. I don't need that. I just need earplugs. You don't have to do it if I have earplugs.
Okay, well, thank you.
And two, I need sleeping tips. I don't know. I can't sleep.
You can't sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Did Mom put you up to any of this?
Huh?
Did Mom put you up to this, or did you just come over here?
Mom told me to, because she doesn't have any sleeping tips.
Oh, you don't have any sleeping tips. Okay, well, apparently I have to give sleeping tips to my daughters. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna call it a night.
Bye, Pen.
Do you
Bye,
know
guys.
Andrew and Justin? You want to say here? You want to say something? Here, I'll give you your own mic.
Alright.
Hold on. There we go. Wait for it. Let me get this on. Talk into this. Talk.
GTFO!
Okay, all right.
She's doing the catchphrases.
All right.
This is why I love your kids, Brian.
GTFO!
All right, cutie. It's time for bed. So I guess we got to let it go. Bye, guys. We're going to shut down the stream. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Love you all.
Bye.